Well, you just made a post reference to the Surgeon General's report, and when I pulled up the page, it was interesting. Is that they state clearly this page will not be updated. I mean, it's
Yeah,
final. It's
I
done.
found that weird too. You get a big bright yellow notification.
Yeah.
Pull it up. So why not? Why can't we keep current on the science that's coming out?
Yeah. I mean, and they're saying that they're staying up on top of this as a topic, both internally as a Canada and internationally. Yet it's not something that they're actually ever going to address. Obviously, I mean, it's a lot of lip service for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's the same for me. I feel like that it's just talking air when it comes out. Because back in the committee days in 2016, when John, Claude, Dave, and I all went, they admitted that they had read our testimonies during the last meeting there. I don't know if you caught that, but
Yes.
they read all of our testimony, but yet not one of us had been reached out to. Dave put in a claim through Veterans Affairs for Mefloquine injury. I'm not sure how he worded it, and I believe he was denied.
Yes.
I've put in a claim for quinism, Mefloquine toxicity, that's been sitting in adjudication since last August. So that's abnormal wait time. They're just sitting on it because I have a nexus letter from Dr. Nevin on my file that does positively link my conditions to partly at least Mefloquine adverse reaction. So
I actually had a diagnosis from Dr. Robert Oxley back in '97 that said Mefloquine toxicity / post-traumatic stress. That disappeared off of my med docs. However, there are med docs that make reference to Mefloquine toxicity that are still there, and parts of them are redacted.
really?
But I mean, what's of interest is the unlike you, I just lost my train of thought on it. But it strikes me, I guess, in the long run, like I guess it comes down to that what they keep referring to as definitive evidence. You know what I mean? Like we can't have definitive evidence, therefore we can't do anything about it. Therefore, we're not going to do anything about it. Is kind of what I took out of their response. But if you go back to Nevin's testimony, there is definitive evidence. Otherwise, it would not be listed in the product monogram, right?
Yeah.
You would not have people complaining of the exact symptoms which are there. I mean, it really comes down to, I guess, to what you were saying, is this lack of will to recognize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's just they're just trying to save face at this point. They're gonna keep linking Mefloquine into PTSD because it's such an easy blanketed diagnosis. You can pretty much fit everything into a little box. You don't have to compensate each condition, because that's what they're looking at as well, is that if we get this diagnosis of Mefloquine injury, each condition will be a condition on its own. You can't just lump them all in. So
yeah.
Financial compensation standpoint, they're going to have to start compensating everybody for individual conditions rather than one big lump summed diagnosis,
Yeah, well, Corteshane, I think I pronounced that right, which is the Veterans Affairs doctor, they alluded to the fact that we don't need to know what caused the problem. We just need to pension the problem. So they're pensioning symptoms. The doctors are only treating symptoms. No one is looking at cause or going to the root cause in order to create solutions.
Which is insanity, because how can you fix a problem if you're not looking at what's causing the problem or fixing that,
Yeah, it's like you're saying, it's so compartmentalized that ultimately, we're only ever going to treat the symptoms, never the cause. So it doesn't matter what you call it, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't have to recognize what causes it in order to pension you. Therefore, we're not interested in anything you have to say or do.
Yeah, and I always said it's hard for people who train to kill and injure human beings to all of a sudden turn around and be very compassionate towards the people that need help and sympathy. Like when you're in that military mindset, we don't have that kind of compassion for our peers,
Yeah.
So it leaves the people that do end up being left behind doing it alone. And I know everybody says, regimental families and things like that, which some are actually very supportive and helpful. But overall, in my experience, it's been that the regimental family is non-existent.
I
Once
think
you,
I think we're starting to see a sub-regimental family forming within the military, and those are the guys I think who are registering with HSH, the law firm, and I think that will grow as a subculture and eventually emerge. But I think, yeah, you're right. It's going to take a very, very long time because bottom line is and people don't understand about the military is the military is not it's not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. It's a chain of command. Policy is set and implemented. And right now, the policy is there is no mefloquine toxicity. There is no queenism. There is treatment for symptoms. And if you're coming forward for mental health, everything that we need to have in place is in place. Therefore, we don't need to do anything different. Even if that system is prescribing medication that will irritate and exacerbate mefloquine toxicity as an actual cause.
yeah, no, yeah, I see that too. And fundamental changes need to be done at an institutional level, which I don't see happening anytime soon, just based on the mindset that has to be carried through to be able to be an effective military. You can't have, unfortunately, it sounds wrong, but you can't have a lot of feelings. Like people you need to be in that shutdown robotic mode so you can follow orders. There is no thought of self, you know?
Yeah. I can see one argument that where they fail from the military perspective is the role of the Canadian Forces is to conserve manpower. And right now they have a lot of turnover in manpower because they are failing in their role to conserve manpower. And the reason they're failing to conserve manpower is because they're not addressing the core of the mental illness, suicides, and what actually causes it, because they're not taking a look at the numbers.
That's the thing I worry about is that even if they admit 2% of the military has been injured by mefloquine or whatever they're willing to accept, they have to admit that at least some of the suicides that have been happening are at least partially due to adverse or misuse of mefloquine.
Yeah.
And that leaves them in a very bad position politically, and I think it will create, in their mind, they think, a further loss of legitimacy